sorry, I set aside more time than we need, definitely. But I wanted to make sure, and I'm not, this is not just going to consist of me going through this either. We've had a lot of people in here have a lot of success with finding installs over the last couple of days, and I did not get a chance to really go through this stuff with them yet. So I want to make sure that I get some insight from them too. I'm just going to mute everybody in Zoom real quick. You can unmute yourself if you need to. Okay, so and there's going to be other stuff that comes out after this too. Like this is just like preliminary stuff. And I realize I have a wine glass. First of all, I understand that. Okay, it's a long story, but long story short, I don't want to keep going like this on the video, you know. And I can't resist. If the Mio's there, then I have to drink it. So, as a matter of fact, I should probably put more in that bottle.
I'm waiting for you to like knock it over.
That would be bad. That would be bad. It's happened before, so I wouldn't be surprised. So the stuff that will come out after this too will be like more rebuttals, more rebuttals for different things that come up and whatnot. But I with this, I wanted to send like a certain message on how you respond to people, especially people in person that they're not going to maybe object to the job, but they're going to ask questions about the job. So the first part, now I'll say this. The thing that it says is do it all, right? That was a note to myself. That was a note to myself to put something in the end that mentions the best way to do this stuff is to do it all. And so, but you know, after I printed the first copy and I was like, okay, now I gotta make copies. I might as well just keep it there because it's the right message anyways. Back when I was in Boston, I started, you know, canvassing, and then probably a year later, they had switched everybody to part-time. And I couldn't afford to lose my benefits. So I went to this guy, Wayne, who had hired me, who Andrew's met before. He's a crazy dude, right? Crazy guy.
Yeah, it's intense.
He is. He's nuts. And I said, you know, look, I have to leave. I can't lose my benefits. So he never expected me to like build a team quickly or anything like that. Because back then things just moved much different. It took people, you know, 3 months to get an employee. Craigslist was the biggest recruiting source. So, I mean, that tells you something about, has anybody in here ever used Craigslist before? A couple of people, not many. Okay. That was like the big thing back then, you know, it wasn't that long ago either.
I bought all my cars off of Craigslist.
Did you? Well, that's because you were in Kentucky. That has nothing to do with Craigslist.
Both of the purchases were here, Paul.
Okay. Okay. Touche. I guess so. So I didn't know it was still a thing. I didn't know it was still a website.
It is.
All right, thanks, Corey. I'm gonna permanently mute him. There's got to be a way to do that. That was our biggest recruiting. So he told me, he said, you know, if you go build a team, then you can, you know, essentially have that team, and then you won't have to go part-time, whatever. And he said to Andrew too. He said I didn't think that he'd be able to do that quickly. You know, I thought it would be like 6 months before he did that or whatever. Quite frankly, he was kind of screwed up. I didn't think he could really manage the team, so I didn't think it was a good idea to give him a team. But a week later, he had a bunch of people because I went right on you know, whatever social media existed at the time, probably MySpace and Craigslist, and I went to all the colleges in the area and started talking to people there. And obviously, we're not going to do that with installers, but I was able to find the team within like a week or so, and then I started the next week in management, and then that propelled me into my career here. So recruiting kind of became my thing after that. They were also giving referral bonuses back then too. And I wasn't happy with my compensation plan the way that it was when I was a manager at the time. So one opportunity was to be able to go and recruit for the rest of the company. And, you know, you had to find different ways to do that and whatnot. So I would go and find different ways to do that. Now, I will say that one point I had to give something like this to corporate. And I didn't know much about social media. It was a couple of years after my social media stuff. You know, I didn't really know a ton about it. I knew Facebook. I knew what Instagram was. So I just looked up top social media sites and I put it on like a page or whatever. And so Grindr and Tinder ended up on there in front of corporate. It was great. So, and nobody said anything to me neither until the very end. People were laughing, but I was just like, oh, they must be enjoying their time there. So, So that's not going to pop up in here. Everybody just kind of proofread this for me. Doesn't mean that there's anything wrong in there, but last time I had a proofreading error, it was really bad one. That was live and during COVID. It was really bad. It was really bad. I didn't mean to do it, but obviously I wouldn't have a job here if I did. So the social media sites that I think are best for this, and I don't know a ton about social media. Admittedly, I don't. I have a Facebook with like 3 friends. I never visit any of my social media. And I'm sure that there's ways to use other social media platforms, but Facebook and Instagram, I think, are the 2 most obvious ones. Now, some good ways to leverage those, at least for Facebook, I can definitely speak to that because we use that a lot when recruiting for canvassing. And so you have your friends group, right? But living down here, any of my friends, especially when I first moved down here, I had a different Facebook. I suggest this to everybody, by the way. I look back at my messages or my postings from like 10 years ago, and I was like, okay, I can delete these. Some of these are really bad. I can delete these, and then that's fine. And I deleted like 2, and then I was like, oh shit, everyone is really bad. I'm just gonna delete my Facebook. So I suggest it to everybody. It's not a bad thing to do. So I had to make a new Facebook. But before that, all my friends were from Massachusetts. So when we were looking for people to join this department, canvassing, I didn't have the luxury of like going on and talking to my friends. Now, obviously, that's the first thing. Everybody has a contractor in their family or an installer in their family, something like that in their family. Someone that can get trained up quickly, that has some at least construction experience in their family, or a family friend or whatever. I guarantee if you post something on Facebook, you will get some response. You will get some people that will be looking for this kind of thing. The second function, and what we used to use a lot because we didn't have, Andrew is from New Jersey, I'm from Massachusetts. So we didn't have the people down here to be able to kind of recruit through. We would go on Facebook groups and we would talk to all these different people. So for example, the Carlisle yard sale group, I remember when I went on there years ago, it was like 18,000 people on there. So you're talking to 18,000 people. And so I just reached out to the moderator and was like, hey, listen, do you mind if I post a message? People looking for jobs, whatever. I know it's not this kind of thing, but it'll help people out and so on and so forth. And so I did that and got tons of response. There was a group just last night. I was kind of messing around. I just typed in like Mechanicsburg groups, and there was a group called Mechanicsburg PA people, stylized just like that. I didn't want people to think that I was slow when I put it like that on the paper. That's exactly how it's stylized. So it's obviously like a small group. Probably half people in here are members of it. And I just did somebody make that group in here? I want to make sure that I didn't just make fun of anybody in here. 6,800 people though, that group, 6,800 people, and they're all going to be local people. I don't think anybody from like Sacramento, California is joining the Mechanicsburg PA people group, so they're all going to be local people. All of those people also have family members or people that they know that are in the installation field or in some sort of construction field and whatnot. So, there's 2 approaches when you're making these ads, right? There's one approach that I would make to my personal friends and whatnot, which I don't want them to think that I'm just posting an ad or that somebody hacked my account or something like that and is posting an ad. So I'm probably going to be more personal with that ad. And then there's the ad that I would put on a group, which would be completely different, right? Unless I have some small closed group or something like that. And your inbox will get flooded when you go to the groups and stuff like that, which is not a bad thing, but you do want to. You'll get some weird messages. You'll get some weird messages, man. Like I got some messages with like, hey, listen, if I'm a registered sex offender, can I come work to this? You got to ignore those ones. Okay. You got to be careful of what you're getting, but you will get a lot of responses from it. And some of them will be weird. Most of them will be good though. You'll get people like I did have some woman that was like, hey, listen, my husband gets out of jail in 3 years. Is there any way I can contact you and stuff like that? So you get those people, but whenever I would do this for canvassing, I get a ton of great responses to whether it was people that were in college. Obviously, we were looking for something much less specific than whether it's people that were in college or people that were looking to make a career change. You'll probably get the average person, depending on what groups you post in. If you're posting in groups that are this big, 40 or 50 responses from people, and probably 15 to 20 of them will be good, Now, the casual ad that I put down there is very simple. It's not and it doesn't get to sound exactly like this, but just as an example, hey, friends, hey, guys, however you talk, right? So I call everybody friends. If I meet a homeowner when I'm canvassing, I call them my friend, right? So that's how I'd put it, but you don't have to put it that way. I work for Renewal by Andersen, and we're having a challenge. We need to find installers. The company has a family atmosphere and is giving $5,000 sign-on bonuses. Not a problem. And the pay is insane. DM me right away and I can get you a phone interview. Oh, and please share this, right? So you have 2 calls to action this. So to make it simple, it's casual, it's quick. It has a couple benefits, and then it has 2 calls to action, right? The calls to action will be DM me right away and share this right away too. Okay. So it's designed for people to follow those calls. So you're going to get some response. And again, it doesn't get to sound exactly like that, but my suggestion would be to sooner rather than later. If it's right now, it's right now. Put out an ad on Facebook. You'll get response. If you put out an ad on Facebook right now, or whatever, a post on Facebook right now, with something like that, then you'll get responses by the time that we're done for sure. Okay. And they'll be good, genuine responses because it's people that you know. Okay. The more professional ad could be something like this. It should be some sort of like, look at me line, like attention or urgent or something like that. My company, Renewal by Anderson, is currently looking for window installers. We're looking for professionals with some installation experience. I've been working for the company for a while. My favorite thing is the family environment that we have to offer. That being said, installs with our company are given $5,000 sign-on bonuses, are paid great, and receive top-of-the-line training. Unlike a lot of companies, you'll always have work year-round. For more information, please DM me immediately. Please share this post. Thank you. Okay. So again, it doesn't have to be exactly that, but you have an introduction, you have benefits, and then you have 2 calls to action, which again would be DM me and share this post. Okay. So, something like that, that kind of structure where you have some sort of introduction. In a professional ad, I'm not going to put out company challenges, right? Keep in mind who's seeing this. That's the problem. You don't want to go on some Facebook group and go, my company's having a problem right now. Not a good idea. Okay. When you're talking to your friends, fine. But out on a Facebook group or something like that, that's not what you want to put out there. Okay. Especially because what will happen too, and I guarantee it will happen at least to somebody in here, is somebody from West Shore will be online dicking around and they're going to see that and they're going to post on it or something like that, and you might get some contractor that's like, everybody has that problem right now or whatever, right? I ran into a guy yesterday up in Altoona who, he's a flooring guy, but he did windows before he did flooring or whatever. And that was sort of the way that he kind of, I didn't approach him at all. I was talking to a friend of mine up there about the fact that we need installers and stuff like that. And he had said something to me. And it was almost like there was instant competition. It was kind of a weird experience. But there's going to be that because there are so many companies going through this right now. So you will get that. But I suggest whatever groups that you belong to, again, it's not just about the fact that you're gonna get people in that group. You're gonna get people's family members. Somebody's father came home yesterday and said, "Man, I really hate my job. This sucks. I'm really, really sick of this." And they're gonna go, "Okay, yeah, my father needs a job. He installs windows, so on and so forth." Right? You're gonna get a lot of that, a lot of response like that. Okay, so what do you want to do with the messages? So this part's extremely important. You got to have a system what you do. So it's a little bit different, for you guys in the call center. The only difference is who you're texting the information. You're not going to send me all the information. I mean, feel free to, but that's not what I think Don would want. So I have a list going right now, and this is what I'm doing for us. And I'm working with Brandon and Jen on it, because the problem that we had before was we were not getting responses back about what happened with the people we were giving. And so at some point I was just like, you know what, I'm not going to push these guys to get referrals if we're not going to call them, or if I don't know if we're calling them or whatever, right? So now we have a better system for that. And I know when they're calling them, when they're setting up for interviews. So I have just a list like this that goes through the installer name, the phone number, the email address, or a second phone number, the person that brought the person to me, and their manager, and then other important notes. For example, if they work for a company or they own a company, or if there's a certain way that we met them. For example, yesterday I got sent a couple from Jose, where he had got the number from, he was at a house and he got the number from the parents of the person. Right. So they're like, "Oh yeah, my son does window installation." He's like, "Oh, cool. We need installers right now," so on and so forth. Right. So that's a way to do it. But that's what I'm doing, right? So whatever system you guys in the call center figure out for that, what I would not suggest is a free for all. Someone's got to have all of that information, right? So like and you're going to want it to be so you're not going to want it to be someone in a different department. It's going to be someone here, whether that's Dawn or somebody else. Just I would make one person responsible for that. So that way you can continuously check in with them on what's happening with it. It's your money. You know what I'm saying? It's your money. Go ahead.
Quick, did you say, so when you said the call to action, right, or call to action,
Mhm.
but I'm saying, did you suggest that in like my personal ad or whatever?
Yeah.
To ask them to send me their name, their phone number, and their email address to me personally?
Yeah.
Or did I, okay.
To you, yeah, to
And
you
then
personally.
Then I would give it to,
Yeah, and we'll right after this we'll find a person, whether that's Bert or that's Dawn or someone like that. But yeah, I would keep a record of it yourself.
okay,
Keep a list yourself. Yeah, because and here's the reason why, right? People don't call, right? So we have those little door hanger things, and we hang them on every single door, right? Think about it. That's 100 or so doors per person, maybe a little bit less because we're talking to some people, right? But 60 doors, let's say, per person per day, every single day. We have like 8 calls come in per month on those, right? So out of all those door hangers, right? So people don't call back. They get busy, you know, stuff like that happens. So what I would do is gather their information all the time, and then also give them the information to make sure that they reference you, so on and so forth. Make sense? That's a good question though, too. Hold on, someone put something in the chat. Hold on, I don't know. Okay. I'll answer that question after, okay, Joe? All right. So I gotta like read that a little bit more closely before I answer that. All right, so here's what I do. So when you get the messages, grab at least one phone number, treat them like leads. Get the phone number, find out what range of times they're available to talk, and promise them a call the next weekday, right? So and that's it's gonna happen. They'll get a call the next day for sure. That's the commitment that we've gotten from HR is to call these people right away. You know, so if you talk to someone on Saturday, tell them Monday. If you talk to someone on Monday, tell them Tuesday, so on and so forth. And follow up with them. Make sure that they got the call too. I would do that if it's someone that you personally know. You know. So immediately for our department, immediately text me the name and phone number of the potential installer and any other information that might be relevant to that as well. Okay. Because I'll put it directly on that list. I mean, I update that list like every hour, every couple hours. So it's fully updated right now. And then I send that out to, if I have your email, if you send me your email, then I send it out to you as well, the list out to you as well. If I don't have your email, I send it to your manager. So they'll always have the list. And then like once a week, I'll sit down with Brandon and we'll go through the results of each person. So then after I update that, I'll also send it out too. So you have the results and what happened with the person. We didn't get a hold of them. We set them up for an interview. We have several interviews set up so far. Tomorrow, Monday, I'll get an update on exactly where we're at there too. Okay, so what if I get questions or excuses on Facebook? You shouldn't get too many excuses, but you might get questions like how much do you get paid or what are the hours? I would largely try to push that to the call. You know, now there's ways to do that. You don't want to freak the person out, like what's going on here or whatever. There's some kind of spam thing or something like that, or scam thing, not really spam thing, but so for friends and people that you know, I just assure them the hiring manager will answer all the questions. If someone messages you from a Facebook group, have a set response. What you don't want to do is to be personalizing messages to 50 people over and over and over again. That would suck. I've been there before, not what you want to do. Hey, thank you so much for responding. We definitely need installers right now. We're looking for people with some window installation experience, but we do provide training as well. Please send me a phone number and email. I'll have a hiring manager reach out to you ASAP. Thank you. Okay, keep it simple with them. The reason why I'm putting the whole thing about some experience and stuff like that is because that should deter people that have no experience from continuing to message you, you know, most of the time. No doubt you'll get some people and you got to let HR sort those people out. If there's someone that just doesn't fit for the job, let them sort it out. I would err on the side of it's like the opposite of what we do, right? When a canvasser gets a lead, our expectation sort of is that you guys in the call center make sure it's a good lead, right? That you guys are the confirmers, you know, call it, make sure they're like the last line of defense against it. Okay. This is almost the opposite. It's like if every lead we said, well, let's just run it just in case. right? We're not going to do that, but that's what you want to do with this, right? Is you want to get, even just in case, it's worth a phone call, right? At worst, Brandon will call them. They'll say, no, that's not for me. And then that'll be the end of the call, right? Now, if it's something completely ridiculous, obviously, if the person, has 17 armed robberies, and they're not going to get a job here going into customers' houses installing windows. Probably. I don't know. We need to install. I'm just kidding. It's not going to happen. So Instagram and Twitter, Instagram can be a great alternative tool to Facebook. And I think there's a way to connect those two, right? Like you put something on one of them and then, yeah. Okay. Either way, Instagram's photo driven, correct? I'm really like, I don't use it that often. So, there's kind of two ways that I look at it. Two things that we've done in the past is post some sort of meme or something like that, something that people are going to look at, and then have a little message like the Facebook messages right there with a call to action and whatnot, or pictures of work events. So, for example, you guys just went to Dave and Buster's yesterday. If you have pictures from that at all, put something like that up. Put something like that up, and put the more professional message, or make sure the two, some sort of call to action, like look here, that's going to make people look at the picture and look at the message, right? Something like Twitter is a little bit trickier because it's a more national audience, right? But there's still local groups on Twitter as well, so you can find stuff to do. My suggestion is do it all. It takes like 2 minutes to do on the social media stuff. Do it all. Discipline yourself to get it all done. That's the best way to go about recruiting. There's times, so it's just like marketing, right? If we have a free marketing resource, right? Let's say, for example, Jen tomorrow finds out that there's some sort of lead aggregator out there that's completely free to use, would never happen. But let's just say that there was one, right? Or you only pay if you get the leads in or whatever. Why not use it? I guarantee we're going to use that source, because if it brings in one name, then it's worth it, right? It's completely free. We would take the same kind of idea towards events whenever we were doing events during COVID. It was like, hey, there's that little flea market down in Chambersburg. And who knows, we go down there and some days we get 7 leads. When Mo and Cole were there, I think it was you guys, right? They get 7 leads their first day there. But most weeks we get like 1 or 2. But it was like $25 to go. So why not? Same kind of thing here. It's a small amount of time commitment, and you might get some response. With Facebook, you're definitely going to get response. So with the in-person stuff, so the internet has more people, but recruiting in person allows you the opportunity to influence the person that you're talking to, and allows you to identify more specific people that you think might be a good fit. So there's a benefit. I think in-person recruiting is better with installers. Okay. I think you're going to have more success with it. And I think part of that is the crowd that you're digging into. I don't think the average window installer is spending a ton of time like flipping through Facebook or whatever, right? Maybe they are, I don't know, but probably not, most of the time. So I think that's what's going to be most lucrative for you. That's also what's more difficult too. So there's kind of 3 things that are addressed here. The first thing is where to find installers. The second is how to approach installers. And the third is how to rebuttal installers' concerns. Now, on the rebuttal thing, again, I'll mention these rebuttals are not in here. The idea is don't rebuttal people. You don't have to rebuttal people. You sort of push it off to the next person. That's what you want to try to do. Okay, so we'll get to that when we get to that. But first, where can I find installers? You guys might know this better than me, to be honest, but just talking to the install managers, talking to Linda, talking to Jen, window installers pick up their jobs in the morning from places like Home Depot and Lowe's. Now, don't forget too about lumber yards, right? Like there's tons of local lumber yards that do a lot more business in windows than like a Lowe's or Home Depot. And it's all contractors. Your average person is not going down to their lumber yard to pick up their windows anymore. They're going to a place like Home Depot or Lowe's if they're doing that themselves. Most installers are going to places like lumber yards and whatnot. West Shore and Window World, I encourage you to go to their parking lots in the morning and talk to their installers. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. They would do it to us. So why not do it to them?
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. Exactly. I probably shouldn't. I just recorded that and put it on YouTube. Probably shouldn't do that. But look, it's a conversation. You're just going to have a conversation with the people, right? But they also frequent hardware stores like Ace Hardware and True Value to get parts and supplies and stuff like that. And remember, we were at Ace Hardware and True Value for a number of months during COVID, and we would see a bunch of different installers. Maybe not as much for Windows, but Windows too, getting lumber and stuff like that from those smaller stores. So there's a lot of those places in Harrisburg. I think there's 3 or 4 different hardware stores like that you could go to. Now, here's the thing is you got to go in the morning if you want to catch the installers before they do their installs. Throughout the day, you'll see people kind of pull up to get supplies and stuff like that. But most of the time they're going there in the morning to get their supplies and whatnot. Okay. And it's during the week. So maybe on your way to work, pop by and see if people are still there, stuff like that. We'll go through why the bonuses are worth it in a second. And, I think it's worth it to maybe take a day during the week to just wake up early and go to a place like that. Because not a lot of people are doing that, right? A lot of people are going to do some of this other stuff. Not a lot of people are going to do that. Okay. So on break, Sheets, Rudders, McDonald's, your local diner. Sheets and Rudders are by far the most lucrative. We see these people every day when we go to Canvas, every day. And they have truck and trailer friendly parking lots. That's the reason. That's a big reason why. Right, like you're not going to see many of these people going through Dunkin' Donuts drive-throughs, right? I can barely fit. I think I've crashed my car like 8 times at a Dunkin' Donuts drive-through, trying to fit it through this little hole there. People are not going to. That was more about falling asleep than it was about the parking lot itself. But those places have a lot of truck and trailer friendly parking lots, so you're going to see a lot of installers stop there for break. Okay, so I would definitely frequent those places. Look, if you see a truck approach the person, talk to the person. It's better to do it now than in a couple of weeks when there's going to be all the landscapers out there and it's going to get a little bit more difficult to figure out who to talk to, right? At play, it might sound weird. I mean, actually, I put that in here and now I'm reading it as though I'm saying it. Actually, it's not weird though. After a hard day at work, people go to bars, pubs, and our places like VFWs and stuff like that, right? Clubhouses, whatever, to go get drinks. Great places to find installers. Okay. So I'd suggest again, if you're driving home from work and you see your local dive bar, right? Most of these people aren't going to be at a nightclub, right? They're going to be at your local dive bar or whatever. Stop in and talk to them. I know it sounds awkward. We're going to go over that in a second. That's on the approach. And then at home, this is easier for people that do canvassing, I think, because for us, for you might go to people's houses and talk to people that are that's kind of weird. But for us, it's just an everyday thing, right? So it's a little bit easier for us for sure. But I would suggest pushing your limits and how you feel about this, because you got to remember what you're offering people. You're offering people a chance to change their lives, a chance to change their opportunity. And it does get awkward. I remember going to colleges, and and Andrew knows this too. We go to these colleges, like I go to Messiah, for example, or Dickinson when I first came here. I'd never go to that place again. That was ridiculous. I thought I was gonna get slaughtered there. Like it was crazy, dude. That was like, oh, they're paying, $80 grand a year to go to college. They want nothing to do with talking to me. They just most of them, like some of them, you could tell wanted to spit on me, for just for being there. It was bad. But it's weird the responses you get from people. You have someone that's, they're in school for business and marketing, and they're like, oh no, my mom's paying for my college. I'm good. I'm not going to work right now. Right. Stuff like that. And it's just like, okay. So it does get awkward. You do feel like, hey, I'm going to naturally get a no here and stuff like that. But remember what we're doing, right? We're either on the phones getting no's all day, or we're in person getting no's all day. So it doesn't need to be any more awkward than our jobs and what we do every single day. But it is different. It is new. So you're going to have apprehension to start this stuff. I'd suggest that you do it. It's going to be very lucrative for you. So trucks with logos, trailers, at-home workshops like in garages and whatnot, yard signs. Not yard signs that say they just got installation done. You'll see a lot of these guys, though. They will have little signs on their houses and stuff like that. Okay. Just stop by. When you see that, just stop up, knock on their door. It's all in the approach. Okay. So now how to approach these people? Okay. So you got to think about what you're offering people. And this is how we always talk about canvassing. I remember knocking on a lady's door one time canvassing. And a lot of you guys that are in our department have heard this before, but I was in King of Prussia. I was working in King of Prussia at the time. That was where the office was at. And this lady, I go up to her house. She has her grass is like as high as my like up to my waist. She has a big hole in her roof with like a tarp covering it. Okay, and it's a nice house. It's not like she has let the whole house go. So I walked up. I knocked on the nice neighborhood. She comes out. She immediately starts crying, like immediately. And she tells me that her husband passed away 6 months ago, and she's never had to deal with that kind of stuff before. The last company that she had out was a roofing company. They took 20 grand from her, did the roof for like an hour, and then left and never came back. It had been months. They left a hole in her roof. It was only covered because the neighbors put a tarp up there and put like bricks down on the tarp. That was what her roof was at the time. So drafts come in, so on and so forth. So I told the lady at the time, I said, look, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm not going to push you into an appointment with our company. I can understand what your apprehension would be. At least let me mow the lawn for you, because I mean, I work right in King of Prussia. Might as well come back tomorrow morning. I'll be good. So the next day I go back and I mow the lawn there, and she comes outside and she's happy. And she sets up an appointment, right? And then you could tell it was like she wanted to do something nice for me because I did something nice for her, right? But we come out and she ends up buying windows. She ends up buying a couple windows, and the guy who installed the windows, or the guy who sold the windows rather, gave her the name of somebody that could do the roof for her as well. And so then she got a roof done from that other person. It was done well. She had to pay for it, and she got the windows done. She ended up hiring a landscaper as well to do her landscaping. My point is this, is that if I don't go up and knock on that door or push it a little bit or whatever, then
She might not get in there.
all of that stuff is screwed up for her. She's still crying on her doorstep there, So you got to understand what kind of changes you can make in someone's life, and this, when we're out there canvassing, it's a lot more personal, obviously, than being on the phone in a lot of ways, right? You're there talking to people in person.
Right.
So you run into these different stories and stuff like that, these different people. I've run into North Korean refugees, you know what I'm saying? People that were running from the conflict in Egypt years ago. A kid that got hit by a grenade in a church in Egypt. Okay. All kinds of crazy stuff. But you start to realize really quickly, and this is the best way to look at your job, is that if you don't do the right thing, that person could make a worse decision, right? Not that you're the best decision maker for them or whatever, but if you don't open up the opportunity for them, at least, then they might not get that opportunity somewhere else, right? So, for example, I was in the hospital when I found this job. Okay, I was in the hospital. I was in really rough condition back in 2008. Well, end of 2008. And this guy Wayne, who I referenced earlier, he comes up to me and we're just talking or whatever. He's in the wrong waiting room. Now that could have ended right there, right? I mean, he goes through, his daughter was having a baby, right? But he takes a second to talk to me because he notices that I was in really, really rough condition. And he offers me a job. He offers me a place to stay. He offers me a lifeline, right? And then now I'm here today. Okay. So you want to offer this to people. You want to give them help. Okay. So when you're going up to people, just understand, like, have that in mind, because it's very easy to go, no, I'm not going to approach that person, right? No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to push that far, whatever. Have no problem approaching the person. The worst they can say is no. So be very confident when you walk up. If you walk up and you're like, hey, are you looking for a job? No, everyone's going to say no right now, because no one's looking for a job right now, because everybody has a job right now. Everybody has dozens and thousands of jobs. I mean, there's so much work out there. It's insane. That will stop at some point, but that's why we're in this situation. The backlog that we have for installation is absolutely insane. And there's no way that we catch up unless we get these installers. And so that's why this is so important to our company. But also, you're providing safety for an installer. The difference between our company and the company they're working for now, the company they're working for right now might have work right now. They might not have work 2 months from now. We will have work for them 2 months from now, right? So one more story, I promise, before I get into this. Right when I moved down to Pennsylvania, right, the first thing right away, there was a company called Window Wizards. Anybody ever hear of this company, Window Wizards?
Didn't they go out of business?
They did, yes. Yep. Like right when I moved down. So I think I had something to do with it. I'm just kidding. So I remember seeing articles right when it happened, though. I think everything might have been a year after I moved down. It was right around the same time I moved down. I think it was December of 2012. All these people show up to work like a week before Christmas, and the gates are barred. They can't get into work, right? So they call the news and whatnot. Now, keep in mind, the company Window Wizards, a year or so before that, maybe 2 years before that, they ran into an issue where they were installing windows. They had promised people, oh, we have this great new technology where they're going to fill all these different holes here with insulation. That was their big thing. That was their big pitch. Now, it's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. There's no reason to do that. It's not going to make the window any more energy efficient. There's a reason why that's like that. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why it's a hollow vinyl window or a hollow Fibrex window, because it doesn't matter, right? It's just a waste of material. But if I tell you that I'm going to fill your window with insulation, sounds good, right? It's a good pitch point.
Right.
So they just came up with a different pitch point that they would use. The problem is they sold windows like that. They never did it. Okay. They never did it. Not for any of their windows. So when one customer decided to check, or something happened that made them check, or an employee said something, I don't know how it played out. Every customer found out that they didn't do it. So then they had to take all of their money and they had to go do that, reinstall Windows for every customer that they had installed for, right? So they try to work their way out of it or whatever, but they did the right thing, and they installed most of the Windows. They did the jobs over again or whatever, right? Filled it with this installation that really didn't matter. Okay. At some point, maybe it would have just been a better decision to go, look, it really doesn't matter. It's just kind of stupid. The installation idea is stupid. It's just a joke. I'll give you some of your money back or whatever. That might have been a better thing to do. Either way, they had sort of secretly bankrupted themselves. They had a lot less customers coming in. They still had customers coming in, but a lot less customers coming in, and they had paid all this money out to fix this. But the employees didn't know that. So the company operated for another year or two. All of a sudden, the employees show up. Their workplace is closed up, right? So they get a hold of the owner. He's down in Florida. One of the owners lives down in Florida. And he says, I'm going to be up in a week to deal with this. Okay, I'll be up in a week. We'll get this sorted out or whatever. My brother, he's the one that's running the business. I don't know what happened to him, whatever. So he comes up a week later and they reopen the business. And everybody goes back to work, or some people go back to work. I'm sure some people are like, screw that, I'm not doing that, right? But some people show back up to work. They open for like 2 weeks, shut down again. Same thing happens again. Okay, just completely out of business for the second time in a row. And this time they claim bankruptcy, all this stuff. All of the customers that had given them deposits lost all of their money. Okay, all of their money, right? Because they claim bankruptcy. There's nothing, they can't pay it back. And there's some slush fund somewhere that this guy has, I'm sure, of money set aside for himself or whatever. But that guy never saw jail time. There's many other people that see jail time for something like that. That guy didn't, because he did it, quite frankly, he did it the right way for himself, but that's what ends up happening. I mean, a lot of companies, I remember when I first started, it was the housing crisis, right? And, a lot of you guys remember that housing crisis in 2008, 2009, right around there. And I was canvassing door to door. So I go to some neighborhoods and see 50% of the houses with the little locks on the door. No one's home. They're doing what do you call that when you take the house from somebody? Yeah, no. Foreclosure. Yeah. They're foreclosing on all the houses. It was crazy. It was absolute Wild West, just madness, right? And so a lot of companies didn't make it through that. Our company was profitable for the most part through that. So this is the conversation here. Hey, sorry to interrupt, but I saw your truck or whatever made you approach. So whatever made you approach a person, just, hey, I noticed a sign here. I wanted to have a conversation with you. Have you ever installed Windows? Okay. And you're asking that question. Obviously, if it says, X and Y window installer, then you're not going to say, have you ever installed Windows before? But I mean, if it's like a construction truck, I would suggest you approach, if the person has a hammer within a 20-mile radius, approach them and ask them if they ever installed Windows before. Okay. If they look like they've done it, it's just a question. Okay. Now, if you're at Home Depot or something like that, and like it says right here, the truck says John Smith window install, you'll obviously just point out that you saw their truck in the company name. I had to ask because I work for Anderson and we're looking for installers right now. I know that you're working, but you've heard of Anderson, right? So you're asking the question right there to break up the conversation. Okay, it's sort of like what we do with canvassing. We ask questions like, does that sound helpful? May I make a suggestion? Right? We know we're going to get objections there potentially or questions there, but we want to alleviate the conversation. We don't just want to filibuster the conversation, say a bunch of stuff, and then have the customer respond at the end. Same kind of situation there. But you've heard of Anderson before, right? Oh yeah, of course I have. Yeah, it's a great company, this and that. Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure that you've seen the economy's wild. I'm sure you've seen the economy's wild for home improvements right now. And we're looking for people like you. The work environment at Anderson is great, and they're giving huge hiring bonuses to new installers. So I'd like to have somebody at least call you with some more information. What's a good phone number? So it's quick, it's to the point. Okay. You're not going through a bunch of like, hey, we have all these different benefits, which I would always suggest not doing that. Okay. You're not selling the job to the person. When you go into anything overselling, like a salesperson doesn't walk in and go, okay, let me just lay out the benefits of the window for you right here. Right. And then that's it. No, they go in, they inspect the window, so on and so forth. When we're setting up leads, we don't just go, okay, great, let me tell you about everything about the window, right? No, we save that for the salesperson, right? We're doing the same thing here, okay? We're saving that for the salesperson. It's just a conversation. Minimize the importance of that call. It's just a conversation, so you're minimizing that, their commitment level, okay? You're minimizing their commitment level is the best way to put it. Okay, great. I'm going to have them reach out to you to get you the details. What time can you typically talk? Oh, and do you have an email address by chance? Just leave it at that. Now, It's not a script, it's a conversation. So it's not something that I'd memorize. Okay. You don't have to memorize it. I mean, you can if you want. It's a very short conversation, but the conversation is what's important. That's how you want to structure it. There's a method here though. You're introducing yourself. Maybe use your name, extend your hand if you feel comfortable with that. You're giving them a good benefit, that we pay great, that our company environment is great. You can add in some stuff. Okay, you can add in some benefits. You're giving them benefit of the company's great, and you're getting a sign-on bonus. Or you can add in some benefits too if you want. If you're in a captive conversation, or if you don't, or if you think they don't seem interested. And then you're closing them with a call to action. No, yes or no question, just what's a good phone number. Okay. So it's what we call a hard closing canvas. Okay.
So you're suggesting just maybe mention sign-on bonus, don't go into a whole lot of details, but what if they ask about hourly rates, say?
We'll get right to that in a second here. That's going to be right on this next part. Yeah. No problem. No, I appreciate the question. So then that goes to the next part, how to rebuttal potential installers. Now, we're going to come up with like a list of actual rebuttals too, because you'll see why. So I'd caution against considering these objections, but you'll hear concerns like people are comfortable with where they at. No, I'm fine where I'm at. Okay. And they might say that in a different way, but you'll hear that sometimes. People feel committed to where they're at. So they'll say, no, I'm committed to my company. Okay. And you'll hear a lot of people like that. You have to ask yourself, you'll understand that if you're committed to this company, for example, right? If you're not, then you won't. But like, for example, with me, I look at it like this. There's a certain value in being where you know, right? There's a certain value in that. Okay. So for example, in terms of like football, right? If I'm a quarterback, let's say, and I'm on a team, maybe it's not as great. Maybe I'm getting paid a couple $1 million less or something like that. Let's say I'm Tom Brady, okay, and I'm with the Patriots for years, and I'm getting paid a little bit less, but I know the system. I know I can trust the people around me. Then it gets more difficult to leave that opportunity, right? So you'll hear apprehension like that. Installers have a ton of work right now. So it's not even about the fact they want to stay at their job. They're going to feel committed because they have customers that they're actively servicing right now. They might have a job set 3 months out, right? So they can't just leave that commitment. That's something that we have to have HR kind of sort out too, because that's something that will come up. Okay. They misinterpret what you're asking. They don't understand what you're saying to them. And nothing specific there, just that will happen sometimes whenever you have a short pitch like that. So you hear things like, I already have a ton of work. I like to work for myself. My schedule's kind of booked out. Now, the general answer to all these concerns, I'd say, is, again, minimize commitment, okay? Of course, all I'd like to do is have someone reach out and explain what we do. Simple line like that, okay? No, of course, absolutely. I can imagine that right now. All I want to do is just have somebody come out, kind of reach out, and I was going to say come out because when we're canvassing, right? That's what we say. So we use the same method, by the way, with canvassing. It's lower commitment level. Just want to have somebody come out to inspect the windows, just to check them out for you. It's the same kind of thing here. Just want to have somebody call you just to explain the benefits of the job. Simple. Absolutely. Having a conversation can't hurt. I can assure you that. I can assure you you'll like what we have to offer, regardless if it's the right time. It's not unreasonable at that point, though, to explain some of the benefits of renewal by Andersen. So at that point, when you're deeper in conversation, it makes more sense to bring up some of the benefits. Okay, so I just want to let you know, Renewal by Andersen is committed to having the best environment for our installers. We always have work available. We have a $5,000 sign-on bonus. We encourage 1099s and accept in-company employees. You can make well over $100,000 in your first year. Okay, make sure you add in that in your first year. That's just important. We can offer a somewhat flexible schedule and allow HR to kind of explain that. We have programs like 401k and PTO, health and dental insurance. Now, I don't know if we offer that to 1099 employees. That's not your thing to sort out, okay? Because you don't know. Maybe they don't want to be a 1099. Maybe they want to be an in-house installer. We have these different things available. That's something you want to let them sort out with HR, It's the same kind of thing as when if a customer says to me something like, hey, I'm trying to think of a good example. All right, let's say like the blinds in the window thing, for example, right? Okay, we don't do that, obviously. And I'll tell the customer if they ask me that we don't do that, okay? No, unfortunately, we don't do that. That being said, you'll still want to have somebody come out because you're going to want to hear why our window is different or better than that window, Okay, so I'll say something like that to a customer, for example. Yeah, you might want this, but at least have a conversation with somebody about this. Okay, so same kind of thing there. What's up, TJ?
If they ask if they want to do like a 1099 or the other one, you just say we have both available and then push it back to.
Yeah, I'll have somebody.
And we do have both available.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep, and I'll have somebody reach out. Yep.
Off that, I was wondering, so if we do see somebody that has their own business and we just talk to like the foreman or the head person that owns it, and they have other workers, do we get paid for all the other workers that they bring on or just?
No, just the
head person?
installer. Yeah, because we're not. There's no like every installer has helpers. You know, get paid for each worker that they bring on with them. You know.
Okay.
But he's got a team of 20, like, I don't.
No, that's that, and this actually brings up a problem that I've seen with some of the referrals that I've gotten. So I've had people send me like names of window companies. Like, we're not going to call Window World and say, hey, by the way, we need you to do some install for us. Okay, so like we need to be careful about what we're doing there and stuff like that. I'm just not putting them on the list at this point. Send everything over, and then I'll just decide what I'm going to put on the list and stuff like that. But I'm not. If you talk to someone, like, you got to think about it. Okay, if let's say I operate X and Y construction company, okay, and we're not just a 1099. We are a company that has 1099 employees, right? I'm the owner of this company. I'm not going to go. Well, first of all, we're not going to go, hey, we're going to hire another window company that installs vinyl windows to install our windows, okay? But also, if I'm that company, I'm not going to go, okay, I'm going to let Renewal by Anderson hire my installers. If you're talking to the installers, great, right? We'll hire them on, fantastic. But don't like give me the 800 number for the company. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not. So we're not going to call a call center and say, hey, can we talk to the owner of this, that we want to hire your installers, right?
Correct.
And with a hard close, like, what's your phone number? What's the best time to reach out? Okay.
Paul,
Mhm.
she had a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Like if we get somebody who is a 1099, but like they work themselves, they don't have helpers, do we, we have helpers that can go?
We can help them find helpers. Yeah. Yep. We can definitely help them find helpers. That's a good question. And that's definitely an important thing that a lot of companies don't offer. And we definitely will help them find people for helpers, the biggest thing I could say with any question that anybody brings up to you, right? Like any installer brings up to you is, and this is the best way to handle this. That's why, we'll have this person reach out, because they'll be able to explain every single thing to you. It's worth a meeting. It's worth a conversation. That's the biggest point that you want to drive home to these people. And that's why it sort of ends on this note. I'm going to get some rebuttals together. Andrew and I are going to work on some rebuttals and whatnot when it comes to this scripting. But thinking about it last night, I'm like, okay, well, the first thing we want to do is really just push it on to the next person. Like that's what I want to drive home to you guys is that we're not selling the install position. We're buying the phone number, right? That's what we're doing. We're out there buying the phone number. All we need from you is your phone number. That's it. That's what we're looking for, is just a phone number for the person. We'll let HR handle the rest of it. Okay. Now, we've had a lot of success with this. So over the course of the last week, we've had, let me see how many people. This is just from like Tuesday of this week. Okay. And I would actually say that really Wednesday is when we said, hey, we had a couple from a couple people, and that's really when we put it out there. We have 43 right now, 43 different people. Okay. Yeah, it's a lot of people. And if 2 or 3 of them get hired, then it's 2 or 3 people that are hired. It's 2 or 3 installers close to our goal to, everybody's kind of freaked out right now, right? So I do want to address that a little bit too, because we've been talking about a lot in here. I get it. It can see whenever you're asked to change your goal as a company, right? So I've never been asked before to get less leads, right? Or to find a way to, manage lead flow or whatever, right? So, once the other day, Cole was in here, I think Mo was in here. I don't know if Andrew was in here or not, but Scott comes in and he's like, I need to talk to you right now. And me and Linda need to talk to you right now. And I'm like, I'm getting fired. Like, what's going on? I did something wrong, what happened? And I think he was just nervous to tell me because he thought I was gonna like freak out on him or something like that, hey, we have to kind of refine what we're doing and stuff like that. But what I recognize, and I would have freaked out if it was a couple of years ago, you know what I'm saying? But what I recognize over the last couple of years is that our job, like if I ask you what your job is, you're gonna say like, getting leads or setting quality leads or whatever, right? That's gonna be your job. Your real job is to fulfill the goals of the company. That's your big job, fulfill the goals of the company. And right now the company's goals are just slightly different. No one, I can assure you, definitely the people at the top of the company don't want to get less operating income, right? But the thing that I'd say to you is this, is that, the book's been mentioned recently in here. I don't know if you guys have heard the name of it too. I think it was mentioned on Tuesday, the book Good to Great. You guys ever heard of that book, Good to Great? Yeah, fantastic book. Okay. It's by a guy named Jim Collins, and he studies companies and why what separates a good company from a great company. And part of that study, he talks about like Circuit City versus Best Buy, right? Who remembers Circuit City?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. A lot of people, if I said, hey, why did Circuit City go to business? Most people say, well, they didn't have the sales, right? If you're talking simply, they didn't have the sales, right? They didn't have the sales. People weren't buying the products anymore. They had maybe less quality, or their prices were higher, or whatever. None of that's the reality. The reality is that they made decisions 5 years before that caused their company to fail, right? Whatever those decisions were, changes in management, I think is what actually did it. That's what caused the company to fail. If you look at Blockbuster, right? They didn't fail because people stopped renting movies.
It does, because the times changed.
No, not even that. They failed because they didn't take the opportunity to buy Netflix when they could.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Right?
I hear that, yeah.
So that's the thing, is that what we're trying to do right now as a company is we have to recognize the problem that we have in front of us, is that we have all these uninstalled windows. We have to catch up on those things, right? It's just what we have to do. Let's say we didn't do that and we just sold. A year from now, we have a lot more windows. So we're telling customers, let's say a year from now, and can you imagine a sales rep walking in and saying, hey, the window costs X amount, okay, which inevitably will be higher. It's a year from now. And we're not going to be able to install your windows for a year and a half, right? That would cause people to not buy. Eventually salespeople would leave because they'd be like, why, I can't, my close rate's 3% because this and that. And then eventually we're paying marketers to get leads for nobody. Our leads are set out 10 weeks. And that's how companies, go the wrong direction. Yeah. So the decisions that are being made right now are very positive decisions for a difficult situation. We are blessed to have leaders in this company that recognize that issue, maybe even a little bit later than we wanted to, but that recognize that issue and said, okay, how do we refine this now? Because if not, then 3 months from now, it would have been, hey, we got to shut down marketing for, 3 months or whatever, right? Now we have a way out of this. That's the positive side of this, is we have a way out of this and we have complete control over that. And that is to get these names, get these numbers in. When you look at who's given these names, right? So I got, I'm not even going to say names, but I'll say, well, I don't think they'll mind if I say the name. So Skylar, for example, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, has well over 12 people that he's given. Cole's done about the same thing. I know that Dan's given a couple. I got a couple from Mo. I got a couple from Evan. Scott's given a couple. Julie's given a few. Bethany, who just started up in Williamsport's, given a couple. Ethan, Jose's given a few, Kyron's given a few. So there's Jaden's given a couple, and I'm probably missing 1 or 2 people, but there's so much opportunity there out there. If everybody had 1 or 2 people on this list, then we'd have well over 100 names right now. Well over 100 names right now. Now you extend that to the call center, and we have all the installers hired that we need in a month, and we can get back to normal right away. And by the way, when you think about it, $2,000 bonus. I mean, 15, that's $30,000. If we in this room fill up those positions, that's 30 grand in bonus that you get. That's great. Okay. If you can take 6,000 of that, or 4,000 of that, or 10,000 of that, it's a great opportunity, all right. Now, before I get to some of those people that have had success out there, talking to people specifically, I want to ask Cole a couple questions. Does anybody have any questions for me about this stuff?
Seems pretty straightforward. Like I said, I know some people that actually like do stuff like that, like
Yeah.
just windows, but like contracted work and stuff. So I might have some even friends that I know that I wouldn't even have to sell them too hard on, or
Yeah.
I mean, things like that. They'll just call in because they trust me. you know,
Yeah.
and shit like that.
You should talk to him.
And
Get,
they
get,
know I've been working here for years.
Yeah.
So,
give the name and numbers to Brandon, you know, and just and let them know, hey, I'm gonna have somebody reach out, and then just give the name and numbers to Brandon. I mean, I definitely would suggest it, absolutely. You never know, you know.
No, I don't know, but like, hey, I mind if I give your number to this guy where I have for installers or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Cole, most of the people that you've gotten from approaching at their house, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you say when you walk up to the house, knock on the door, and
I just asked what they have experience installing one of those they do. Pretty much just pitch them the way you said about just asking, hey, if they're looking for installers right now. Just not asking to commit to anything, just see if you can have a conversation, see if it's something you kind of want to go forward with. And if they're apprehensive, just reinforce the fact that it's not anything you have to commit to, we're just asking you to have a conversation. Just take the time to talk with us.
okay, cool,
That's
all right.
really been the majority of it. If I see someone working on a house and talking to those, I see a van, talking to that person, like it just.
Okay, cool, excellent. And I just want to point out that, you know, Cole and I again did not talk about this. I did not show him this. I wrote it last night. And so, but we're using the same system for a reason, because the system really comes from our canvassing experience. That's where it comes from, you know. For this question is from me to everybody. If you've been doing this, okay, and we have some people in the room that have gotten more than a couple people for us, is there anything different that you're doing? Or areas, places that you're approaching people at? Any ideas for places even that you're approaching, that you'd approach people at, that you'd want to give to everybody? And anybody on Zoom, same question too. Let me see who's on Zoom. Okay, people on Zoom, I ask you guys the same question. Is there anything that you're saying different than this, or in addition to this, that you'd like to share? Okay. All right. Well, then the last thing I'll say is this. Right now, what I've tasked the managers, team managers to do is to, instead of using their recruiting time to recruit, is to map out where every lumber yard is, where every Lowe's and Home Depot is, where all these different places are. And so then what we're going to do in canvassing is we'll take certain times and days, if anybody wants to, you know, get some extra hours on a Sunday or something like that, clocked in to go out to find these places. What we're doing though is we're using a trust system. So if we do something like that, we say, hey, we're going to take a Saturday, we should be making up getting leads to go out and find installers, and we're going to pay you hourly pay for it. Then we got to trust that you're going to do it. You know what I'm saying? There needs to be results from that, right? Because if not, then you know, what's the point? It's just an hourly payday at that point, right? So we're going to get those maps together for you, so then you can say, okay, cool, I live in Lancaster County, in this town, what's around me, you know? And for you guys in the call center, we'll extend it to you too. Okay, so we'll make sure that you guys get a copy of that stuff too. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. All right, well, thank you guys for joining me. If you guys have any questions at all, let me know. I'll make sure you guys in the call center also have this recording too, okay?
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.